Following on from what we've just heard, amid hot debate between civic groups and business leaders, South Korea's Justice Ministry has decided to release Lee Jae-yong, the jailed Samsung heir, on parole later this week. Take a listen.
We decided to include Samsung Electronics VP Lee Jae-yong in the parole list, taking into consideration the local economic situation as well as the conditions of the global economic environment affected by the prolonged COVID-19 pandemic.
He has been serving time behind bars after he was sentenced to 2.5 years by the Seoul High Court in January in a retrial of a bribery case involving former President Park Geun-hye. But with the latest decision, Lee will be among 810 inmates to be released at 10 a.m. Friday in celebration of August 15, Liberation Day in South Korea. For more on this and its impact on the industry, we have Waqas Arinwala, Asia analyst at the Economic Intelligence Unit, joining us live from Singapore. Waqas, thank you for joining us.
Morning.
Well, first, I want to ask about your reaction to the results of the hours-long meeting by the Justice Ministry's Parole Committee with Samsung's Lee Jae-yong getting early release. Were you surprised or did you expect this?
To be fair, I'm not really surprised. Like you have mentioned earlier on, August 15th is a day when South Korea does announce quite a few pardons and paroles. Also, given the importance of Samsung industry and how he was already able to get released after just serving 1 year of his sentence in 2017, it is not exactly a big surprise. Yes, it's been a very interesting year for Samsung all along, given the inheritance payment they had to pay out earlier this year. So, all in all, yes, a bit short than what you would expect him to serve out of his 2.5 years of sentence. But again, if not this year, this would have again been extended up all the way to 2022. So if not now, then it would have been a big industry setback for semiconductor sector at least.
Well, since Samsung is one of South Korea's top conglomerates that has the ability to impact the nation's economy, like you said, the business sector welcomed the move, but others didn't. Can you tell us more on this front, and how did local and global markets react to the news?
Again, for business sentiment, yes, it's not surprising that people would be happy about it. They would see that, yes, the government's intentions are obviously pro-business. Great news for them. What's complicated is, again, that Moon Jae-in, for his presidency campaign, did say that he will target the chaebols. He will not go easy on them. He will make sure the justice is dispensed. So for the wider Korean population who don't see the trickle-down benefits of these conglomerates, it's not exactly going to be a silver lining because they don't see this exactly a move in their favor. They don't see inequality being addressed in these fronts. They don't see gender inequality or questions around those issues being addressed either. But that's a local sentiment. Obviously, global markets are going to react a lot more differently. Samsung is a big driver of not just regional growth, like domestic growth, but also regional growth, given how they're very big producers and as conglomerates, they have multiple interests. They're best known, obviously, for the semiconductor sector, which is, again, causing reverberations across the world, especially in the auto sector or whether it's about electronic hand equipments, household equipments in general. So for the global markets, not a very bad news. It's just more about the domestic front and how it could cause political ramifications too.
So it could be some good news for global markets as well. But now, after he gets released this Friday, I'm hearing he won't be able to return to normalcy right away because it's a parole, not a pardon. There must be legal limitations to his business activities in the near future. Can you tell us what are they, and is there a chance for the government to lift the limitations as well?
So a few restrictions include him not being able to actually work until at least 5 years, him not being able to travel as well. So overseas trips might be a restriction as well. Some, for instance, loopholes or rather legal help could be obtained, obviously, through his top-notch lawyers. He could, for instance, be working without a salary. He could obviously be there in an advisory position running the big decisions. He will obviously be able to be more involved than he was behind the bars, so it's better than nothing. And also, these are decisions that he can contest for. It's more about the concern that the other two cases running up against him is also going to cause some legal headaches for him and just generally for the group itself as well.
Well, a while ago, you touched upon the semiconductor industry. Now, global competition is gearing up, especially in that area. And with Lee Jae-yong leading one of the world's largest memory chip and smartphone companies, what are the implications of Lee's release for the industry? And will this even ramp up further investments?
Absolutely. This is a time when people involved in the semiconductor industry can't afford to have any obstacles whatsoever. Any investment decision, it might, again, not these things don't happen overnight, but any delay is something that the world can't afford to have right now, given how it's impacting sectors for, like I said, automotives, or whether it's handful mobile industry, or whether it's about household equipment. None of these sectors can afford to have any delay. Any delay in this front will basically lead to a lot of supply chain disruptions as well. Again, with the restrictions he faces, given his right to normalcy not being available right away, investment decisions will not happen overnight, but at least there'll be fewer obstacles to them being able to take place. For the sector in general, again, a big chunk of this will happen about also how his future legal proceedings happen. But in general, given South Korea's domestic situation was also being impacted by COVID, this is a multiple whammy for the whole sector in general.
Well, I'm afraid I will have to let you go. It's time for us to wrap up our discussion. Thank you so much for your insights today, Waqas. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.